we're going to be talking about getting some time back for yourself, prioritizing some things so that you have more time to do the things that you want to do, the things that you love to do, the things that you got into business for, that freedom to be able to do what you wanted to do in business. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So those of you who join in or who watch the recording later, whichever the case, I'm really excited to have you join in. And, just know this is, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Kimberly Borgens. I know we've added some new people here to the Hive Society, our Facebook group here. Look, I am a business entrepreneur. I've been in business for over 30 years. I run a successful private security, private investigations business, and then do some coaching and consulting for women in business as well. So the Hive Society here is really about bringing people together and learning some simple lessons, simple little strategies, simple little tips, ideas that could help you in growing in your business. 30 years experience, I want to share that with people who are coming up so that they too can be successful down the line. So thank you for joining me today. Like I said, today I'm going to be talking about time management and time, priorities, setting priorities, but most importantly about getting some more time back in your day, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about. So let's start with time. We all have the same amount. We have 24 hours a day. That's it. The same 24 hours I have is the same 24 hours you have. The most successful person out there has the same 24 hours a day that you do. So think about that for a second, because, when you're thinking about how come she's more successful than I am? Or how come I know more than her, but she's making more money? Or, I'm trying to get it all done, but I have a family to take care of. We're all doing it all in the same time frame. Okay. So part of that is about prioritizing your time. And pardon me, what I really want to say is I'm not asking you to be an organized freak. Okay. I'm not an organized freak. I'm somewhat organized around many things, but I'm not organized in everything. Okay. I'm organized in the priorities that I have, but I'm not asking you to become an organized freak just so that you can organize your time, so you can organize your priorities, so that you can organize spending time with your kids and organize your spontaneity. Okay. Pardon me this morning. But what I am saying is you have to be a little organized in your business to be successful. Okay. And it can look a whole bunch of different ways. So don't get stuck on, if I say something and I'm saying, well, here's a way to do it. It's my system. Could you take my system and create it in such a way for yourself that makes it work? Right? I'm not attached to you doing it my way. What I really want to do is mentor you in a way that allows you to see that there's a way you can do it. And as you get into it, you make modifications that work for you and work for your business and work for your family. Does that make sense? I hope so. So no matter what I say today, just know that it's just coming from my heart. It's just coming from my experience. And I really do want you to succeed and be successful in your business. So let's talk about a few things. I know with my kids growing up, one of the things that we put into place due to making sure my kids were a priority is we had Tuesday night family night. And I'll tell you why we picked Tuesday night. I'll be honest. We were broke entrepreneurs. And Tuesday night, kids ate free. So we would go out to dinner and we would go Tuesday night and the kids eat free. Bonus, right? It was cheaper and it made it simple, but it turned out to, really turn into family night. And so even when we made more money, we could do family night anywhere. And then the kids got older and they weren't free because they weren't, little kids anymore. But right. So, find what works for you. For us, that's what works. So Tuesday night became our family night. And so when people would call me up and say, hey, Kimberly, I want you to do this. If it was a Tuesday night, it most likely was Nope, sorry, I can't do that. My priority is I have Tuesday night family night. If it was a one-off opportunity, right? What I would do is I would go to my kids and my family and say, look, I have this opportunity. Can we renegotiate Tuesday night as family night? And can we do it on Wednesday night this week? You go and you renegotiate it. Don't just automatically decide for your kids, unless of course they're 5 and under, right? But you can still have a conversation with them. But we would have Tuesday night as family night. We would go out to dinner and we would take cards. We would take board games with us, and just sit at the table and play cards with the kids while we were waiting for the food to get served. Because, sometimes there's that long wait, especially now. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I have, the serving time and all of that is like extended quite a bit since the incident, right? Since the 2021 incident, the big C-19. So, I've noticed that time before getting served and everything else has extended. So take a deck of cards, play with your kids, have great times with them. See if they're a priority for you, then you make time for them, right? And then there's days in your priority schedule, I look at my calendar and the first thing I do is I put in all the holidays. And then I make sure that I have all the birthdays, the family birthdays in there. And then I make sure that I have, the important anniversaries, right? Those are my first priorities. I put in any scheduled holidays that we're planning. When the kids were younger, it was spring break, where we were traveling. If we had appointment, if we knew that we had dates that we were going to be traveling at the beginning of the year, I put that in my calendar next. And then after I put those into my calendar, then I would start adding in the business stuff. See, I did all my family things first because my family was my first priority. All right. So think about it for you are you focusing more on your business first, or are you focusing on your family first? That's up to you. I'm not making that decision for you. Okay. And that's the same as when you're older. If your kids are all grown and everything else, because mine are now, they're all adults and they're all grown and have moved out. And so I still put things on my calendar that are priorities for my kids before I'll go in to do my business priorities. Right. So with that being said, it's like, what are your business priorities? Okay. What about if you're a service-based industry, right? If you're a coach, do you have all your sessions? Do you have all your client times in your calendar? Look, I'm not asking you to be a calendar freak. Look at cell phones, these little things right here, cell phones, right? These cell phones, what they have done over the years is made your calendar right at your fingertips, made it so easy for you to manage it. You can set reminders, right? You can put out how many occurrences you want. You can, plan for the next 2 years in your digital calendar, right? And instead of having to wait for the paper calendar come out for next year around like August, September, right? So just know, like, there's so many handy tools that you can use. So utilize the tools that are there. That would be one of the things that I would say. But other things that I would say is the first thing you have to do is just make sure that you put stuff in your calendar. If you're not going to put it in your calendar, then how do you expect to stay on track? Look, there are some people who are amazing people who never wear a watch. I'm not one of them. They seem to get to their appointments on time. They seem to manage life without a watch. That's awesome. Make sure that you set up that system, whatever it is for you. Because if you don't set up a system that works for you, you're not going to use it. So organize that time in such a way that works for you. So that would be the first key piece that I would say. And I would say is, pay attention to when you are working. If you're so caught up in something that you miss dinner with the kids, right? You're so caught up in something, then you start to lose that connection with people. Are you making appointments with your friends to go out and have dinner and have time together? Or are you putting all of your time in your job? Look, I can be considered a workaholic sometimes. I totally get it. We're a 24/7 business. Like, we don't stop when everybody else is sleeping, right? And so sometimes I have to work, hours beyond the normal hours, but that's 30 years experience. I delegate as much as I possibly can, right? And sometimes even my best plans don't come to place, right? I know because I've had dispatchers, for example, who call in sick at the last minute and I have to cover their shift because I don't have a spare dispatcher because somebody's on vacation or somebody's out for a funeral or something like that. So, I get it. I've worked graveyard shifts. Just, I don't know, a couple months ago was my last graveyard shift in January, right? So here I am in business 30 years this year, and I still have to work in the business at times, right? But when you're doing your normal priority stuff, the things that are important for you, the things that have to get done each and every day, here's a tip: put a time limit on it. Put a time limit on your own time, right? I just had I was working with one of my staff, and she could really use some leadership skills, right? So I made a schedule with her. I said, hey, why don't we, for 6 weeks, you and I will get together, and for an hour, we'll work on specific leadership skills that you need to grow in order to get a raise, feel like, can be in charge of your own job. She had a habit of like picking up somebody else's job because they would say, hey, could you do this for me? And she would say, yes. The problem is that she wasn't taking care of her own job, right? She wasn't taking care of her own responsibilities because somebody higher up was kind of dumping their responsibilities on her. But here's the thing. I worked with her and I said, look, I want you to put a time limit on what you're doing. I want you to set a timer for X amount of time for this project. When the timer goes off, stop working on it. Just stop, like wrap it up and stop working. And then the next time you go to it, set a timer. Your next project, your next task, you set a timer. Put a time limit on it. Look, I'm giving myself an hour to work on this. I'm giving myself an hour to work on marketing today. I'm giving myself an hour to make phone calls to clients or prospective clients, right? Put that timeline. And if you don't have an hour, what can you do in 15 minutes? Set a timer, 15 minutes. Look, I got 15 minutes, right? A client calls off a schedule, an appointment's been rescheduled, whatever that is. Now take that time that you had that appointment and put something else there instead of just going, oh, I can just relax. Well, if you need to just relax, then make that appointment with yourself. If you're going to take a power nap, set a timer, right? But utilize that as a tool that you can use to stay on track for what it is that you say you want to create. And like I said, use technology, right? Your phone has a timer, right? Set alarms. If you know that you have to pick up your kids at a certain time every day and you have a habit of being late to pick up your kids, stop it. Set a timer. Set an alarm to go off 30 minutes before you're supposed to leave so you can wrap things up and get out of there, right? Wrap up the phone call that you're on. Say, oh, what's that? Oh, you know what? That's my timer because I have another appointment right after you, and I have to make sure we're off our session on time. Set timers while you're on your sessions. Okay. Do whatever it takes for you to be where you need to be and be, that's the most priority for you, right? And like I said, if you have to negotiate it, then negotiate it. Don't just blow it off. Don't just call somebody up that you have an appointment with or you are scheduling lunch with or whatever and say, you know what, I just don't have time. I'm going to have to reschedule. Okay. What are you telling that person? Are they really a priority for you? Right. And yes, sometimes you have to do that. Emergencies happen and urgents come up, but don't do it on a regular basis. Right. Delegate. I've talked about delegating. Delegate to people who can do some things so that you don't have to do it all the time. Okay. It really is important to learn how to delegate. And I know I've heard the stories like, Kimberly, I can't afford it. Then get an intern, work with somebody who you can train up. Okay. Work with somebody, another mom that you could trade services with, another entrepreneur. Like do something that, don't give me excuses. I don't have the money. Go get a new client and pay for it. Like, I'm not saying that like to be mean or righteous or obnoxious. I'm saying that because that's what it takes to be successful in business. You want to free up time to be with your family and your friends, then get somebody else to do some stuff for you, right? Like, think about it. You have to, in order to grow a business, you can't do it all by yourself. You're not meant to. You weren't designed that way, right? So don't get caught up that you have to do it because you can't afford it. There's a lot of other things that you could do that could make that work. So get creative, right? Do a time audit. Are you paying attention to how much time you're really spending on working, or how much time you're surfing the web, or how much time that, you're stuck in, I can't move forward from this, right? Look, I get on Facebook, I'll be real. I check my Facebook in the morning. I check it maybe around lunchtime, depending on what's happening. And I'll check it, at night once. I'm spending maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes of my time max. If I'm posting, if I'm having fun, whatever, I don't spend that much time on social media, right? Now I do these lives every Friday. I do every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific. I'm doing these lives up to 30 minutes. I have it planned. I have it organized. It is scheduled. It is in my system. It's part of my marketing. It's part of my mentoring. It's part of my, just my give of who I am. I do that because it's a priority for me, right? And I schedule it. I make sure, and I don't put anything around it, right? Unless I absolutely have to. That's what I call my free space that gets filled in when necessary. Create a daily task list. That's one way. Look, I don't have lists of everything that I'm supposed to do in a day. I don't have a list. I used to, and then I was just like, oh, this is just too much. It just kept growing and growing and growing, and it just got overwhelming for me. So what do I do? At the end of the day, if I'm at my office, I'm like, okay, what do I need to complete tomorrow first thing? I make a list of 5 things, no more than. It might even be 3, but no more than 5 things. I write those 5 things down. And when I come in the morning, when I come in the next day, guess what I work on? Those 5 things. I don't make it hard. I'm not sitting there going, okay, what am I supposed to do today? What am I supposed to do today? Right? I know there's a lot of stuff I can fill it in, but these are priorities, right? When I get those 5 things done, I move on. The other thing that I have said this many times, and you might have heard it before, so I'll say it again because it's something I truly believe in. When you get up to go to work first thing in the morning, handle the hard stuff, right? Handle the stuff you don't want to handle. Get it done, get it out of the way. Why? Because it frees up your brain space, right? It frees up the negativity that's sitting on you. Like, I know I need to make that call. I know I need to solve that problem. I know I need to pay that bill. I know, and then you're sitting in there like, oh, no. Oh, I know. I still got to pay that bill. Oh, I still got to make that phone call. I don't really want to talk to her today. Okay, get over yourself. This isn't about what you want. Your business has no emotion. You do. So if this is about your business, then pick up the phone and make the call, pay the bill, right? Get on track. Do the most important and the hardest things first thing in the morning, because then it frees you up to be more relaxed, to have more joy in your afternoon. So that's a priority. Schedule it, plan it, organize it, right? In such a way that it frees up some of your headspace and frees up some of your time to add in some of the other stuff. Quite often I have found that, not just with myself, but when I've talked to my clients that are holding on to not making those phone calls or not sending that email, not doing that task because it feels hard, overwhelming, it's going to be uncomfortable, somebody might not like me, all of those excuses that we give ourselves that holds us back in that. What I often find is once it is completed, you go, oh, it wasn't as hard as I gave it credit for, right? It's not as hard as that. If you just get in the habit of doing it, it becomes easier and easier and easier, and it becomes more of a task than an emotional drain, right? We don't want emotional drains in our business. So do those things first thing in the morning. Give yourself a time limit. Like, I'm not saying do all the hard stuff, spend 2 hours doing hard stuff, and then you get out and you're like, oh my God, I just can't. I can't adult today. I just can't. Right? No, do an hour, spend an hour if that's what it takes, handle the hard stuff, and then go and do something that's enjoyable, that, isn't hard. It's pretty easy. Pick up the phone and call a girlfriend and just get a clear head, right? And then jump into it again if necessary. So, you gotta play it out a little bit, right? Block out as many distractions as you possibly can, right? Think about, what are distractions? Well, social media alerts, right? Turn off your alerts. Email alerts, turn off your email alerts. Just check your email a couple times a day, unless you're really expecting something that, like today I'm expecting a catering agreement that I need to get signed, right? I'm waiting for that email. But guess what? I've only checked my email once, right? So, so just know that, check your email not as frequently as you normally do, and you can get more done. I know some people are like, I'm desperate. I got to check my email to see if I'm getting paid for something. Okay, don't be that desperate. Take a deep breath, trust yourself, accomplish some things, and then check your email. And then you can celebrate if something comes in, right? So block out those distractions. The other thing is if you can create a routine. So for example, I never book coaching sessions on Fridays. I don't. It's been that way because holidays usually come on Fridays and Mondays. And so those are the 2 days that I'm least likely to book any coaching clients. And the reason is, number one, if it's a holiday, I don't want to have to reschedule. I just want to be able to work with you on a weekly basis, right? And so I don't schedule those. But what I do schedule on those days, right? I do schedule things. I schedule certain blocks specifically for Friday. So just like this live, this is a block of time that I schedule for my Fridays, right? And then on Mondays, I have blocks of time scheduled for that. Now, what's nice is because I don't have to deal with, managing coaching clients on Fridays and Mondays. Then if something gets thrown at me, that's when I'll handle it. I'll handle it on Friday or Monday. So, if you have a day that you don't do anything with clients, that you can just put on managing your business, putting that time in running your business, then you know that that's what that day's for. And if you're done and you can take the holiday, even better, right? So it really is just establishing a routine for yourself, whatever that routine looks like. Get into a routine that, yep, this is the day I'm doing this. These are the days I'm doing this. And why that does is it just creates your subconscious working for you, right? If you're always all over the place, your subconscious is like, which way am I going? What am I doing today? Well, we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do this, or we could do that. But why not train your subconscious to say, oh, today is Monday and this is what we're working on today. Today is Tuesday and I'm working with clients all day today. Today is Wednesday and I'm attending this luncheon and I am attending, this, event on Wednesday. And today is Thursday and I'm working with clients all days. And, on Thursday, this is when I put in X, Y, and Z, right? And so if you can create a routine, then you don't have to think about it. So an example of this, you're driving down the road, right? I know most of you, if this has happened to you, if you're driving down the road and you pass a light, right? And you go, was that light red or was that light green? Right? That's because your subconscious was driving. Okay. You were focused on something else, but your subconscious knew what it needed to do. Your subconscious knew that you went through a green light. Okay. It didn't need your help. It was a routine. It was established. So when I say set a routine and you're like, oh, Kimberly, that's too hard. No, I'm saying that after a little while, it's no longer your routine. It's your subconscious's routine. And so it just becomes a habit. It just becomes something that happens automatically. So by setting a routine and establishing that routine, you're actually helping yourself and your subconscious to work for you when you're distracted or you're thinking about something else, right? Here's a pro tip. Stop multitasking. Okay. I know there are some women out there that say, I am a pro at multitasking. Okay, stop it. And the reason I say that is your brain can only focus linearly. I can't believe I just messed that word up. That's okay. It's all right. I'll keep moving forward. But your brain, it has a one-way line, right? It's very linear, right? So what happens is when you're multitasking, you're bouncing your brain all over the place. And what you never really do is put all your attention on one thing to accomplish it and to get it done. A lot of times what happens to people is they're so busy multitasking that they get up at the end of the day and feel like, you know what, I did a lot of things, but I don't really know what I accomplished, right? And that's because your brain is all over the place and couldn't even celebrate the completion of something. If you stop multitasking so hard, right? And you put as much focus on one task at a time, I guarantee you, if you paid attention to it, you'll accomplish so much more than if you try multitasking. How do I know this? Because I tested it. I didn't believe it when someone told me that. And I was like, okay, well, let me test this. Right? When I don't believe something somebody tells me, like I test the theory, right? That's just who I am. But I tested it and I have discovered that if I can just have that quiet space and just really focus on one thing deeply, I will get it done and accomplished and moved on. And then I can go to the next thing deeply instead of everything being kind of surface bouncing around back and forth. And that just creates more chaos in our brains. Now, I get it. For some people, you go, oh, but Kimberly, I'm ADD. Okay. And look, here's what I know about people with ADD. I know I'm married to one. Okay. Is they can hyper focus when they want. All right. So if they can hyper focus, I can interrupt them if I know that they're in that space. But if you have ADD, you can focus. You just have to set a timer. You have to give yourself permission to do it. And you just have to pull yourself back in each time you try to get distracted. That's it. I'm not saying it's completely easy, but if you get into a routine, it becomes easier and easier. I've watched it happen. I've seen it with clients who have ADD. I have worked with so many. I love working with ADD clients. I think they're amazing. They're so creative. They're some of my favorite clients. Okay. So, I know you can do it. So let's just go over a couple of things real quick. All right. So the first thing that I would say is just, get into a routine of doing things, right? Establish a routine for yourself so that you can get more done. Stop multitasking, right? Instead, focus really intently on one task and get it completed. Celebrate that in your brain and move to the next one. It really does help. Block out the distractions. Turn off those reminders. Close the door so you don't hear what's going on, right? And look, if you have kids, I know it can be challenging. All right. I get it. And spring break is upon us right now. And if you have kids, just know you can ask your kids, say, hey, I'm just going to make a quick phone call, then I'll come back out. If you spend enough time with your kids, they're going to say, okay, mom, go away. Right? They need their space too, to grow and experience and all that. I'm not talking about babies and leaving them alone and stuff like that. But what can you do while you're with them? Right? Create a planner for yourself, a schedule, a route, in your system, make it simplified for you, right? Set reminders for your tasks, set a timer for how long you're going to spend on any specific task. Keep the most priority relationships closest to you. Okay. Make it work because that's what's going to fill you up at the end of the day. That's what's going to make you enjoy your life. That's what's going to make you have a happy family life. Whether you're a single mom, whether you're, co-parenting, whether you're married and you both are working together at doing this, like there are solutions for you. And if I didn't give you one today, hit me up. Maybe I got another one for you. All right. But just know that, I really do just want you to win. I want you to, learn to respect your time in such a way that you give it freely to your family and your kids and your friends, and you still have time to make sure that you're doing what you need in your business too. It's a balancing act. I'm not saying you're going to get it right every time. I don't. Okay. But what I am saying is that if you can get it right most of the time, then you're doing amazing. So I hope that's helpful for you today. Keep going. You too can be a success in business. I know you can, and I have faith. Have a great day.